The cold steel of the lone shark's knife pressed against my throat, his breath reeking of cheap whiskey and menace, as he snarled that my dad's unpaid debts meant I'd pay with my body tonight. Rain hammered the alley behind our crumbling Brooklyn brownstone like bullets from a vengeful god, soaking through my thin shirt. But it was the terror in my little sister's eyes peeking from the fire escape that shattered me. 8 years old, clutching a ragged teddy bear, whispering, "Don't let them take you, Mateo." In that heartbeat, as the thug's grip tightened, I vowed I'd claw my way out of this hell, not just for her, but for the fragile dream of a life where love wasn't just another debt to settle. I bolted the second his fingers slipped on the slick pavement, my sneakers slapping puddles as I sprinted through the labyrinth of graffiti-streaked alleys in Bushwick, heart pounding like a war drum in my chest. Mateo Rivera, 22, undocumented ghost in a city that chewed up dreamers like me. Lean frame from too many skipped meals, olive skin scarred from a childhood dodging my old man's fists, and eyes the color of storm clouds that hit a fire I barely recognized anymore. Dad's gambling had sunk us 6 figures deep with Gino's crew, those Italian sharks who owned half the underground in New York, and tonight marked the end of empty promises. They'd cornered me after my shift at the bodega, where I stocked shelves for pennies, whispering how pretty boys like me fetched top dollar in their backroom auctions. No, not me. Not while Sophia had a roof, however leaky. Panting, I slammed into the rusted door of the old warehouse we'd converted into student housing, me and a rotating cast of broke college kids scraping by at NYU. The place smelled of mildew and microwave ramen, but it was sanctuary. I fumbled my key, shoulders heaving, and tumbled inside, only to crash straight into a wall of expensive cologne and solid muscle. "Whoa, easy there, storm cloud," came a voice like velvet over gravel, smooth and teasing, with that Midwestern lilt that screamed old money. Hands steadied me, strong, warm, belonging to Kai Whitaker, my roommate, the one guy in this dump who didn't belong. Kai was 21, all sharp angles and effortless charisma. 6'2" of black excellence wrapped in tailored jeans and a cashmere sweater that probably cost more than my rent for a year, his shaved head gleaming under the flickering bulb, green eyes sparkling with mischief that masked something deeper, hungrier. Heir to Whitaker Industries, the Chicago steel dynasty that spanned the Midwest, he'd slumming it in Brooklyn for the experience, or so he claimed, but I knew better. Daddy's way of toughening up the golden boy before boardroom battles. We'd shared this shoebox apartment for 3 months, me crashing on the futon, him in the queen bed he shipped from home, our worlds colliding in awkward silences and stolen glances. He flirted shamelessly, winking over morning coffee, brushing my arm in the kitchen like it was nothing, but I kept my walls up. Guys like him didn't fall for janitors' sons from the wrong side of the border. "You look like you just outran a demon," he said, his grin fading as he clocked the rip in my shirt, the fresh bruise blooming on my jaw. Without a word, he pulled me into the kitchenette, grabbing ice from the mini fridge and pressing it to my skin with a gentleness that made my throat tighten. "Talk to me, Mateo. What's got you running scared?" I sank onto the stool, the weight of the night crashing down. Words tumbled out. Dad's debts, the sharks, the threats. Sophia's face haunted me, her tiny hands twisting that bear as if it could ward off monsters. Kai listened, his jaw clenching, those green eyes darkening like thunderheads. "Bastards," he muttered, tossing the ice aside and pacing the linoleum. "You think you're facing this alone? Hell no. I've got resources, connections my old man would kill me for using, but screw it." He stopped, towering over me, his hand lingering on my shoulder, thumb tracing a slow circle that sent sparks through my veins. "You're not paying for his sins. We end this. Together." His touch lingered too long, electric, and I pulled away, heat flooding my cheeks. Flirty Kai was a game, right? The rich kid slumming it, charming the broke Latino artist with dreams of gallery walls instead of shelves. I'd sketched my way through community college, charcoal portraits of Sophia's gap-toothed smile, my only escape. But love? That was a luxury for guys who didn't have loan collectors circling like vultures. Still, as he poured me whiskey from a bottle that screamed privilege, his knee brushing mine under the table, I felt the first crack in my armor, a dangerous thaw in the ice I'd built around my heart. By dawn, we'd hatched a plan over cold pizza and burner phones. Kai's resources meant a hacker buddy from his Princeton days who could scrub Dad's digital trail, buying time, and a shady fixer in Queens who owed him from some frat house favor. But it meant dipping into Kai's trust fund, the kind of move that'd get him disowned faster than coming out to his Bible Belt board. "Worth it," he said, catching my gaze, his voice low. "For you." The air thickened, charged, and when his fingers intertwined with mine across the table, rough from my calluses against his smooth palms, I didn't pull away. Not this time. The days blurred into a fevered dream of evasion. Gino's goons prowled the streets, their black SUVs idling outside my bodega shifts, eyes like hawks on my every move. Sophia clung to me after school, her braids swinging as she recounted playground tales, oblivious to the shadows lengthening over us. "Promise you'll always come home, Mateo," she'd whisper, and I'd hug her fierce, inhaling the strawberry shampoo that was our one indulgence. Kai became my anchor, driving me to secret pickups in his sleek Audi, the one he kept hidden in a paid garage, his hand on the gearshift inches from mine. Flirtation escalated, a brush of lips against my temple after a close call, a whispered, "You're braver than you know," that left me breathless in the passenger seat. One night, holed up in a safe house Kai rented under a fake name, a cozy loft in Williamsburg with skyline views, we cracked. Rain lashed the windows again, mirroring that alley nightmare, and as thunder rolled, he pulled me onto the couch, his body a furnace against mine. "I can't pretend anymore," he murmured, green eyes locking on my brown ones, vulnerability stripping away the playboy facade. "From the first day you stumbled in, soaked and stubborn, I was gone. Let me in, Mateo. Let me fight for us." His kiss was fire, urgent, claiming, tasting of salt and secrets, and I surrendered, hands tangling in his sweater, bodies aligning like puzzle pieces long lost. We moved to the bed in a haze of need, his touch reverent on my scars, mine exploratory on his flawless skin, whispering promises in the dark that love could conquer debts deeper than money. But dawn brought reality's bite. Kai's phone buzzed with a text from his father. "Board meeting next week. No distractions." And Gino's crew? They'd traced the fixer. A pounding at the door shattered our fragile peace. 3 bruisers, led by Vinny, Gino's enforcer, a hulking Italian with a snake tattoo coiling up his neck. "Time's up, pretty boy," Vinny growled, shoving past the splintered frame. "Boss says your mouth's collateral now." Kai stepped forward, all golden fury, but they laughed, one pinning him against the wall with a forearm to his throat. Panic surged. I grabbed a lamp, swinging wild, but Vinny's fist connected first, exploding pain across my ribs. They dragged us to a warehouse on the docks, the Hudson's stink mingling with oil and fear. Tied to chairs back to back, rope biting wrists, Kai's voice cut through the gloom. "You touch him, and my family's lawyers bury you." Vinny sneered, circling me like prey. "Rich boy thinks money fixes everything. Your poppy's Whitaker Steel? We own slips from Chicago to here. But this one's ours, soft, unbroken." His knife traced my collarbone, cold promise, and I choked back bile, thinking of Sophia's smile, Kai's kiss. In that hell, bound and bleeding, Kai twisted, his pinky hooking mine, a silent vow, human warmth in the abyss. Hours stretched into torture. They roughed Kai up first, testing his privilege, fists to his gut, taunts about fancy boys playing hero. He took it silent, but when they turned to me, leering, promising a breaking in that twisted my stomach, something snapped. Wait, I gasped, mind racing. Dad's ledger, it's hidden. Codes in his old Bible. Let me get it, and you walk away rich. A lie, born of desperation, but it bought a beat. Vinny's eyes narrowed, greedy. Talk fast, or I start carving. As he fetched tools from a duffel, pliers glinting under fluorescent buzz, Kai murmured against my ear. When I say go, duck. His foot nudged mine, a signal. Heart slamming, I nodded imperceptibly. The door creaked. Reinforcements? No, just the wind. But it was enough. Go. Kai roared, twisting violently, toppling his chair into Vinny's knees. Chaos erupted, chairs splintering, grunts echoing as we rolled free, ropes fraying on jagged metal. I lunged for the duffel, grabbing a pistol, unloaded, but the bluff worked. Back off, I screamed, finger on trigger, voice cracking with rage. The goons hesitated, and Kai, bloodied but unbowed, snatched a crowbar, swinging like a batter from the south side. We fought filthy, me dodging a haymaker, kneeing a gut, Kai cracking ribs with steel resolve. Vinny charged, knife flashing, but I sidestepped, slamming the gun but into his temple. He crumpled, and the others bolted, tires screeching into the night. Panting, bruised, we collapsed against crates, the warehouse a tomb of echoes. Kai's hand found mine again, trembling. We did it, he breathed, pulling me close, our foreheads touching in the dim light. You're safe. But safety was illusion. Gino would retaliate. We had to run, deeper, faster. Word spread like wildfire through the underworld grapevine. Kai's hacker erased traces, but not before his father caught wind. A furious call demanding he return to Chicago. Sort your mess. Code for disowning the disappointment who dared slum with street trash. I overheard, gut twisting. Go. I urged him that night in the loft, packing my duffel with Sophia's drawings, her latest crayon masterpiece. A family of 3 stick figures under a rainbow. Your life's there. Mine's. Whatever scraps I can grab for her. Tears burned, but resolve steeled me. Love like ours. A debt too steep for borrowed time. He refused, green eyes fierce. You think I'd leave you to this? Whitaker blood runs hot. I'm all in, Mateo. Come with me. We'll build something real, away from the sharks. His arms wrapped around me, solid as the skyline beyond, and in that embrace, I glimpsed it. A future not defined by debts, but by us. We fled at midnight, Kai's Audi devouring miles toward the Pennsylvania Turnpike, Sophia bundled in the back with promises of ice cream in a new city. Sirens wailed distant, but for once, they weren't for us. Chicago hit like a revelation. Kai's world a glittering sprawl of lakefront towers and jazz clubs, but he chose a modest brownstone in Bronzeville, far from Whitaker Tower's shadow. Our start, he said, unpacking with me, Sophia's laughter filling rooms that echoed with possibility. Dad's debts? A federal bust on Gino's ring, tipped by Kai's anonymous line, sealed the grave. But family wounds festered. At a tense dinner with Kai's parents, his mother, elegant ebony queen in pearls, eyes appraising. Father, steel magnate with a handshake like iron, tension simmered. This boy's trouble, Mr. Whitaker growled later, cornering Kai in the study. Debts, danger? You're the heir, not some vigilante Romeo. Kai stood tall, voice steady. He's not trouble, he's home. And yeah, I'm gay. Deal with it, or lose me. Silence stretched, then his mother's hand on his shoulder. We raised you to fight for what's right, son. If he makes you whole. Acceptance, tentative, bloomed. For me, parallel battles. Immigration lawyers pro bono, courtesy of Kai's network, turning my ghost status to green card gold. Sophia enrolled in a school with actual art classes, her sketches evolving under my guidance, dreams taking flight. Yet kinks lingered, nights when nightmares clawed me awake, knife at throat, or Kai's phone buzzing with boardroom summons that pulled him away. One storm-lashed evening, as thunder echoed our first rain-soaked night, doubt crested. "Am I holding you back?" I whispered, tracing his jaw in our bed, sheets tangled like our fears. He rolled over, pinning me gently, green eyes locking with mine. "You're lifting me up. Debt's dragged us to hell, but you pulled me to heaven. Every scar, every fight, it's ours. I claimed you that night in the alley, and I'd do it again." His kiss sealed it, slow and profound, bodies merging in rhythm with the rain, a symphony of redemption. We rose renewed, co-founding a nonprofit, Rivera Whitaker Aid, counseling families drowning in debt, turning our hell into hope. Sophia thrived, her first gallery show at 12, a portrait of us, two men hand in hand under that rainbow, titled "Debts That Built Us." Crowds wept, critics raved, but the real victory? Kai's ring on my finger, whispered vows in a lakeside ceremony. Sophia as flower girl, her grin brighter than the dawn. In the end, love wasn't a claim or a debt. It was the quiet revolution of two souls, forged in fire, choosing each other over the abyss. And in that choice, we found grace, humanity's rawest gift, the power to rewrite hell into a legacy of light.